Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 58th episode of Book of Hours, the House of Light expansion, our first run on YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. So we've got our VAC from last episode, and we're basically just processing the rest of the memories that I got over the course of today. I think I said I was going to use the tryst to generate up to 4 cat wink, so I'm going to get started on that. And then, excuse me, I guess we'll kind of see what whims take me over the course of the day. Alright, better now. I don't think it hurts if I bring back another health. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilkered heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So yeah, the whist is spoken for, the tryst probably is spoken for. What have we got here? He does a lot with silence, this man. I actually can't really see a reason to keep talking with Denzel. Maybe if I had... So we do have the 9 forge. Well, then again, I also don't have the metal, so... Actually, excuse me. I'm going to keep generating memories from Denzel because it occurred to me I might be able to make something useful. What I will do, though, is I'll use the core to take some grapes. So pluck the grapes from the vine. Now these ones are going to be to feed the chicken. The skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. So here we're going to level up purifications and exaltations. I'm a little reluctant to give up this whist, but it's what I've got, so there's always more to learn. And what I'm hoping I might be able to do, depending on what Denzel winds up giving me, I may actually be able to use Edict Martial to get a Wormwood Dream, and that'll really open things up for future tasks. So we'll see where it goes. Obviously, there's a few things that need to happen for that to be viable. I think for the Arab, said I was going to use that to talk with the chicken. That will basically be at the end of the day then. I might be able to drop another glass of water. Or a pitcher of water, rather. So actually, you know what I think I'll do? I think for this time, for the moor, we'll go and we'll gather in spring. The gorse is bright on the land's nape. And I will drop the pitcher of water just because if we're going to be doing some more crafting tomorrow, I think I'm going to want to... I mean, I've already got the glasses of water here, but we only have sort of the last resort right now. So not exactly how I was planning on spending the day, but it's enough for me to get started with. Alright, better now. So at this point, I think I'm willing to say we'll use the health to either generate, or actually in this case, I'm trying to think if it makes sense to try and bring back an element of the soul. In this case, I think we'll just earn the money. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. Okay, so no luck with the moon, unfortunately. We can let this run pretty far. So I think what I will do before sundown, I'll make sure that I start talking with Terrence, but everything up to that point I'm going to talk with Denzel and see if I can get anything extra. Okay, I gotta find a place to keep my packages. Yep. go. That might have been something I could do. Yeah, we'll save that for later. We don't need to work on that right away. I'm kind of debating if it's even worth it to keep talking with Denzel at this point, because the conditions that need to be true for me to be able to get the Wormwood Dream, they're not unattainable, but they're definitely a stretch right now. All right, pluck the grapes from the vine. Let's see if I can put these. Yeah. So I will get another set. That at least one of these are going to be going straight into the chicken. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So we still came up ahead with all that. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay, so yeah, not too much to go on today, which is fine. So here we'll talk with the chicken. Those grapes and satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. So tomorrow we'll have to take care of the cat. I mean, I might even just use one of the eggs, but whatever it is, we'll make sure that the cat gets fed, and then I should probably figure out what I want to do books or memories-wise for tomorrow. Brew an ink that will ward off worms, although only the least of their kind. So if it's a story about Thursley's, Ivories, and Lovelies... Desires and Dissolutions. Okay, so we can get up to 6, 8, 9. Okay, so we're actually... Yeah, a lot of these are somewhat optimistic in terms of my abilities. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Never crazy about getting these, but... And a little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. Okay. So Seventh Voice is tempting. So if that's 8... Got 3 here, 4, 6, 7. Not too optimistic about my chances of getting that red, though. I think I can do a foresight. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Alright, yeah, so I'm feeling a little adrift in terms of some of my options for the day. I wouldn't feel too bad if I had a cycle going of generating grapes and getting eggs from the chickens. A full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. We're ahead on the Catwink, which I'm happy about, but what I really want to be doing right now is trying to take my position and sort of get some of these books read. I'm probably most inclined to be reading the Concursum Diaries right now because I believe that gets me a new skill. And if nothing else, it just starts knocking a few things off of the list. Alright, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So, a couple things we're going to do right off the bat. We have one last book that I need to catalog, so we can do that right now. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Solar Gothic period, roughly between the 1000s and 1500s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Now, for the rest, I think I want to see what the weather brings before we commit to specific decisions over the course of the day. Okay, so cloudy days don't really do that much for me. So they're useful in terms of leveling things up, but they don't really do that much for me in terms of deciding where the day goes. So, the best thing for me to do would be... Well, let's work for an example of a seventh voice. So let's say that I'm feeling really confident in terms of how far I can go with all of this. Oh yeah, well if it's 8, okay, so with that in mind, here's what we're going to do. Let's talk to Denzel. This time we're actually going to use the shaft because I don't have the same kind of need there. I might want to keep the Fet in reserve, but I think I can use the Arab to get a sky memory. I think I'll read the storm in this case. Or I'll get the storm. Okay, so the storm is for a seventh voice. Now, if I keep threatening to read the Concursum diaries, so what happens if I actually follow through? Oh, not that one. Okay, so we would use the Fet. My best rose is Inks of Power, if I'm not mistaken. And then I would have to add the globe. Yep, okay, so with that one we'll get a confounding parable. And I do think the Arab makes the most sense in this case as well. I can't remember if I read this recently or not, but I guess we only have 3. Let me just double check that is, yep, confounding parables. Okay. So it's a start. I did say that I was going to get a little bit of a routine going as far as the... Actually, let's keep drawing up the water. I was going to get a little bit of a cycle going in terms of the chickens and eggs. For this one, I'm starting to run out of options. I'll use the shaft. And yeah, in this case, we'll feed the cat the egg. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. So obviously, we're going to be waiting a while on Denzel, but I'll keep the sweet bones open so I can use the I can restore the health and then use that to, or the shaft rather, and use that to generate some money. Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. Okay. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie, with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So we're going to need to wait a minute for the relevant memories. I am happy that we're going to be getting through 2 books, though. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. Okay, and now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. So we've got the Annals of St. Brendan's. Very straightforward winter text to read. I'm tempted to read this right now, actually. I think I'm going to leave this one aside for the simple reason that I don't know if I have the elements of the soul to be able to cover all of this. But again, it's a very straightforward book for me to read. and it'll help me raise the floor in terms of some of my skills. And I suppose I should be asking myself whether or not I want to take a crack at generating the Wormwood Dream. I don't really need it for opening up rooms right now, but it wouldn't hurt to... it really wouldn't hurt to try and have that in reserve, right? It's the same, kind of the same reason why I make the Catwink ahead of time. It's an opportunity for me to it's a way of sort of converting elements of the soul that are maybe not being the most productively used during the day into a future period where I don't have to make something. So a full belly makes a helpful friend. Pet cat. Oh, you were planning to work on that desk. All right. So I think we're good to talk with Denzel now. Speak to Denzel, he might even reply. And we've got What Does Not Bark. Alexander Probst writes warily of Calyptra, a law, principle, or society which prevents the dissemination of dangerous knowledge. Calyptra, like the planet that occludes the star, or the Doylean dog that fails to bark, can be identified only by its absence. Even the name, I think, must be a mask. Calyptra is said to make exceptions specifically for the libraries of the Watchman's Tree. Does it make those exceptions so the Hours can make use of them? And Letters from a Fugitive. Lars Westergren, explorer and murderer, spent 7 years escaping justice through his knowledge of byways and shortcuts in the bounds. Throughout that time, he wrote regularly to his daughter, possibly in part to taunt his pursuers. Now, I should have paid attention. If I'm reading this book, I obviously would have Path and Pilgrim then. So where did you go, Path and Pilgrim? I guess it would be a Rose one. Oh, right there. A year with the Legion de Sul, patrolling the bounds until he deserts. A month in the Priory of Captains in Morabon. 7 days, or so he claims, and ye's behind the wave. Cornered at last by his pursuers, Westergren writes that he will attempt the paths of the sun. He doesn't seem sanguine about his chances, and indeed, this is his last letter. An editor's note adds that Westergren's whereabouts or end remain unknown, although he is supposedly sighted at the Christmas market in Vienna, the negotiations between invisible underworld figures that happen each year there in 1929. Okay. So we can read a few of these books now. So A Seventh Voice, add The Storm, we will add Bells and Braziers almost certainly is the best. Well, okay, it's actually more than one, but Bells and Braziers will do the trick for now. I can master this mystery, enough sky to match mystery sky. And then we were going to read the Concursum Diaries. So we can do that at the Vagabond desk. We could also do that at Natan's desk, but... Okay, Concursum Diaries, Fet, Inks of Power, A Confounding Parable, and the Lunar Globe, Rose, Journey's End. I can master this mystery, enough Rose to match Mystery Rose. So I'll keep kind of a drip, drip, drip going with the grapes. Our primary focus is going to be on Denzel to generate those memories that I need, but better now. I should actually also take a minute and just make sure I have what I need to level things up. Excuse me. So we really just need one memory for Preliminal Meter, but I will need either a knock or a rose. So that shot's probably going to have to be used for something else. Sorry. I smudged my glasses while I was trying not to sneeze into the mic, so just need a minute to clean up. All right. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to need either that Fet back, or I'm going to need the Shapt back. But we should expect to get the memory we need from a seventh voice, so I'm not too worried about that one. Now, Path and Pilgrim is going to be an interesting question, because I thought that that was a brand new one for us. So that... Oh dear. I think we might save that one till the end of the day. But yeah, what I'll do here is I'll recover another shap now. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie, with the pilgrim heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So I'm bringing back one of the shap just to be able to level things up, and then the other one will be just to cycle through and generate some money. Alright, a little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. Now, the one thing that drives me a little crazy here is I did get this in as a sort of a prep for restoring all of my health and such, but I didn't actually take advantage of it. So we'll use one of the glasses of water now. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. Okay, the intuition helps me level up Path and Pilgrim. I do kind of want to open this package, but not ahead of some of the other options that I have. Running out of space for the grapes. Huh. I'm kind of overcompensating for the drought during winter, but I don't mind just being able to have a few extra eggs to bring in once, obviously once we have the memories that we need, but I'm feeling generally okay with where we're at. Okay, more foresight. In a minute, we'll have the books read. And then, so this shaft is basically just gonna, we'll turn it on and off in terms of generating some replacement cash. For the rest, yeah, for the rest of this, we're really just kind of waiting on how many memories we can wring out of Denzel before we start leveling things up. Ideally, I'd maybe take at least one visit to Crowcross Sands, but I do also want to make sure that I'm getting the Catwink done. We're sort of halfway through the season, so now's not a bad time for me to prepare things for the Salon. But the thing is, if I keep every season about preparing for Salons, then I'm never going to get my books read. It's always just going to be focus on... it's always just going to wind up being focus on the next Salon. So, A Seventh Voice, Samuel Savage's cycle of comic poems about a band of players who double as footpads seeking a seventh member. Sir Sea-Snatch is distracted by Mrs. Twitchshell kissing Mistress Netherpearls, and fails to see Master Magglepie making off with the players' funds. The whole enterprise almost ends in disaster when Mistress Wandereye's family insults her costume and she burns down their house in a fit of pique. But the day is finally saved by the Seventh Voice, a wandering bookmonger who returns the band's lost music. So another confounding parable, which means we sort of lost something there, but Now I'm going to double check that we want to move preliminal meter up past 2. I don't think that would be a hardship. I just want to keep track on what I'm committing where. Okay, got my health back. And the Concursum Diaries, the diaries of the explorer and murderer Lars Westergren. He's unhelpfully translated them into Frisian for privacy. There are map legends, there are maps of legends, and there are legends of maps. Aspects of the Mansus subsist in all of these, in much the same way that you find water in a swamp, and in a cup, and in the sky. Westergren describes a series of expeditions into the Mansus. He focuses on the details of the experience, the colors, the vistas, the textures, rather than the practicalities. He does warn that the Mansus changes each year, although he assures the reader that the doors have been the same. Doors may close, but they may never disappear, at least not while there have been mortals in the Mansus. We're like mice. Okay, so we lost 2 practical things out of that. So overall, this is good news. It's just a little awkward in terms of the various memories that I want to generate. So let's... I think my usual thing has been to try and move the more difficult ones up. So I think this may be what I spend the rest of the... I think this is usually what... this may wind up being what I spend the rest of the broadcast on, but I do actually want to work out exactly what my game plan here is. So we've got Path and Pilgrim. And preliminal meter. Okay, so preliminal meter will take me down illumination and ithistry. So that's pretty encouraging. I think that was the original motivation in terms of how I would be using it. Actually, yeah, so that can definitely become a 3 for the reasons that I had said before. We know with the languages that this will be at minimum 3, so that's all good. Path and Pilgrim is another question. So Path and Pilgrim could be Nyctodromy or Birdsong. And we don't have anything committed to Birdsong yet. So if it's Nyctodromy, it'll probably be higher. If it's Birdsong, that may be a candidate for number 2. So, yeah. I don't really have a good argument for why Path and Pilgrim shouldn't be position 2 in Birdsong. So here's what I think I'm going to do. Definitely, regardless of anything else, I'm definitely going to level up preliminal meter, and I'm definitely going to get that to level 3. And I'm definitely going to take Path and Pilgrim and take that to level 2. So that just leaves me with the 1 rose or scale left over. I also probably don't have what I need to be able to take everything. I probably can't handle 4 upgrades in one day anyway. So for a start, we'll put the shaft here. And I'll use the intuition because that's something that Denzel can potentially generate. So there's always more to learn. Improve the skill to level 2, which will increase its aspects. Okay. So I do need to get another shaft back. So that's going to take me a minute. Okay, so I'll be able to do that overnight. So knowing that, we'll do 1 beachcombing at Crowcross Sands. I think I'll use the health to visit the moor. I'll get the core to generate more grapes. And I will make another catwink with the tryst. So you'll notice most of this is not really focused on leveling up skills, but that's mostly just because I know I'm sort of limited in terms of what I can do now. So we're going to focus on the preliminal meter, and then there may have been some sense in trying to level up Path and Pilgrim, but I want to focus on preliminal meter. Okay, so we still want to keep talking with Denzel. I did say earlier that I wanted to try and get a cycle going with the grapes and the chickens, but right now Denzel gets me memories and I need elements of the soul, so I'm willing to set aside the egg priority. So I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So this should be the last trip to the Sweet Bones, unless I want to... Well, I could use it to restore an element of the soul. So we'll see what happens in a minute. A lot of this is going to depend on what Denzel gives me. Alright, the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. So not much we can do with the consider verb right now. Hindsight does help me with Path and Pilgrim. So that's an argument to take my Fet or my health and bring that back in the Sweet Bones. Okay. This is also going to get a little awkward. So in 41 seconds, I'm going to have a Shapt to level up Preliminal Meter. But I don't have another memory to be able to work with that. So something with Rose would be ideal, but I also want to avoid the possibility of Denzel outdoing me. And I don't think I have anything with a Rose that does that except for Confounding Parables, which obviously are already in my possession. So my next best would be an Intuition. I think I'm going to have to do that. Sorry, I was wrong. Oh wait, no, sorry, I wanted, well, you know what, I am going to still go for the preliminal meter, though. Because I can repurpose the Confounding Parable to... well, I don't need to repurpose it, that's kind of the point. Okay. We'll at least read Advice on Containment. And I know I'm going over a little bit, but I'll settle for... I kind of want to see how this turns out, and I know it'll be a bit of a pain if I try to remember over the course of a week. Okay, Catwink, dark and pungent. Also, I was looking for intuition, but I also need to remember that Concursion Diaries gives me intuition, so let me properly shelve that. Yeah, I'm really thin on elements of the soul right now. Okay, definitely lots of stuff for Path and Pilgrim. Whether or not I can use it is a whole other question. And then I'll kind of explain the plan here. So we know that we've got the 1 minute before the day is done. So I'll bring back a health here. So we'll need 30 seconds after that. The one saving grace is that in 18 seconds we'll have what we need for the preliminary meter. And what I might do with the... well, I was going to say maybe I'd talk with one of the chickens, but I think probably I'll just make a cat wink. I know it's a little boring, but it helps me next season. Alright, abandoned luggage, long past the help of any lost and found. So I'm getting a bit of a collection going here. I wonder if I can fit it... Alright, that's fair. That'll do. And sand. Doesn't directly help me right now, but if I need something with edge or winter, I can always throw it away. Alright, let's get the... oh, I gotta wait a couple seconds. Alright, more hindsight. Advice on containment. Thirza Blake discusses ways to keep wood things out of trouble and Mantis things in it. Thirza is irritatingly light on specifics, insisting above all that the duties of an adept are the duties of a host, and that a conjured spirit should be kept in as luxurious a vessel as possible. Thirza notes the similarities between the lantern-long habit of scrying, returning to the physical world despite their absence of a body by entering a mirror or light, and Pomander's techniques for confining Mantis Long to mirrors. She wonders whether Pomander himself might be lured to visit Hush House if provided with a sufficiently alluring scrying. So, this will take 30 seconds. We'll take a preliminary meter, add the 2 memories and the shaft. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. So 30 seconds takes me past takes me past midnight. However, it's 40 seconds to get our health back, which will give us enough to be able to level Path and Pilgrim once. I also have enough to take the Tryst, Edicts Inviolable, and the Globe. Brew an ink that will ward off worms. Okay, another bunch of grapes. I think this one I might have to keep beside the... oh, won't let me. I'm running out of options. I may actually put this in Elopolis Nook just so I can progress through the day. Nice problem to have, I suppose. Okay, so I know I'm sort of testing the edges of how late I can let this go. I do want to get the commitment for Path and Pilgrim in first, though. As far as the next days are concerned, I am somewhat tempted to try and pursue more skills like this. But it might also be nice to think about... the skill is now level 3, its power aspects have also increased. Might be nice to think about how I start unlocking other rooms as well. Alright, better now. So, one last batch of work. Path and Pilgrim. Really our choice between the hindsight and fear. Everything sort of goes away at the end of the night anyway. And there's always more to learn. Alright. So overall that's pretty decent. An ideal, of course, would be for us to find a way to level up Coil and Chasm, Horns and Ivories, Wolf Stories, Furs and Feathers, Serpents and Venoms, Great Signs and Great Scars, Sky Stories, Strings and Songs, Auroral Contemplations, Herbs and Infusions, Sacrosolus and Victi. Alternatively, we do seem to have made some progress on Bells and Braziers, Stone Stories, and Edicts Martial. So there's sort of an argument for these, especially because they're a rather diverse group of skills. I may want to double down on some of these to get past the fact that I have a lot of books, but not all of them are at a level that I can handle. In fact, one thing I'm maybe going to try and do here, so I've got some 14s. I'm going to take the highest rated book. That's a 10. I was originally just going to try and roll one of these back, but... Okay, I know what I'm doing. I think this is the only time I've ever had these three sitting beside each other like this. But yeah, so again, the challenge that I run into really just comes down to what do I want to try and break out with? Some of these I'm not super opposed to, but the other challenge is that if I want to go, so something like Demotu Corporum Veditorum, for instance, it's like, okay, well, I can use that, and it's got Oronoscopy, so I can maybe try and pull Bells and Braziers up by its bootstraps. But what about Oronoscopy, right? I mean, this is one that's a candidate that could go into Horomachistry, and that's the one that doesn't have the language yet. So, I don't know. It's a tough one, especially because I've been limiting myself to committing skills. Excuse me. I've been limiting myself to committing skills basically during salons. But I don't know. I'll have a bit of a think of it. But the most likely candidates for further investigation. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that I'm currently in spring. So that's going to mean that I have there's a miner that I can bring in to help open up other rooms. I don't think we have anything scale. Not true. Sorry. We have the Rustling Stair. So the real question here would be, what has changed since last year that would allow me to boost up the scale? And the answer to that's nothing, right? I can't make an earthquake name, for instance. It is tempting to open up the Broken Bridge. We know that Denzel could do that. But yeah, as far as the season's concerned, there isn't really any reason to say that I should really be pushing ahead with, with opening rooms. When it comes to secrets of the house, one of these rooms, if I open it up, I could actually get my first secret of the house, which, I mean, maybe that's a temptation in its own right. And then, well, okay, actually, sorry, I should be a little more clear. I have actually already been able to get a certain secret of the house, although it's one that's a very high-level moon text, so I wouldn't really be able to do anything with it. So I should maybe be a little more precise in terms of what I'm saying. But I don't know. The fact that the skills are so closely tied to my ability to read more of the books, I think there's going to be two paths that I take. One will be to just sort of try and drag up my existing skills to something that I feel reasonably comfortable with. What I mean by that is, these should be level 2, some of these should be level 3, so on and so forth. And then on top of that, I should maybe start actually deciding what some of the breakout skills are, because those are going to be what make me say stuff like, oh, okay, yeah, this is 16 level Grail. Well, that's fine because I already have, a 10 Grail skill. That's maybe an extreme example, like a 10 Grail skill would mean that I've maxed something up to level 9. But, that's the sort of thing that would be a nice to have moving forward. Right now, as far as Grail is concerned, Desires and Dissolutions is my best option. Anyways, I'm really pushing the time on this, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you have a nice weekend. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.